Since the 60s, the increase of energy demand for the needs of the society has stimulated the development of new techniques for the extraction of oil, gas, geothermal heat, or the storage of CO2 in the rock situated in the first kilometer below the ground surface. And the main idea is to use borers to inject large quantities of fluids, typically water, in porous rock. And this kind of fluid manipulation at depth can induce sometimes an earthquake, but this is not systematic. This is why it's really important to study how a fluid injection can induce an earthquake, because induced seismicity is a growing societal concern, but also a hazard that needs to be controlled in order to develop a safer and a cleaner energy future. Understanding the inner workings of fluid saturated fault is very challenging, because researchers have a limited access to the active part of fault at depth. In general, we mainly have indirect observation from seismometer or geodetic sensor located at the ground surface several kilometers away from the active part of the fault. And this is a major barrier to unveiling how fault slip when driven by fluid pressure, and a serious limitation to explain many observations of induced and natural earthquake. With an international team of researchers from GeoAzur Lab in Nice, the University of La Sapienza in Italy, the University of California at Berkeley, and the Institute of Technology of Caltech in Pasadena, also in US, we have developed a new laboratory and in-situ experiments together with computer simulation to study how a fault responds to a known controlled fluid pressure perturbation. And one very promising observation we have from our experiment is that the deformation process that we measure in the field are current with the fault slip and fault property we measure in the lab at small scale, at the centimeter scale. And one of the challenges in my domain is to relate the deformation of rock measured in experiments to deformation measured in the nature. And this result is very important for that. And from this result, a second very important result is that our experiments show a new behavior for fluid saturated fault and induced seismicity. Our experiment shows that fluid injection first induces an aseismic slip in association with a fault aperture, and then the seismicity comes in seconds due to the stress accumulation due to the propagation of the aseismic slip. Consequently, the fluid injection does not directly induce an earthquake. This is an indirect effect. And this is very important because the conventional theory is mainly linked to the increase of fluid pressure. But we have to remain cautious with fluid injection, especially at industrial scale, because now we know better how a fluid injection can start an earthquake, but we are still far from being able to keep them under control. The funding from the IDEX UCA JEDI was decisive on two levels. First, it allowed us to develop new advanced numerical tools to analyze the high-resolution data we collected in the lab and the in-situ experiment. And second, this funding was very important to consolidate new collaboration with scientists from the University of La Sapienza in Italy to develop very advanced laboratory experiments with a unique rock deformation apparatus, and also to consolidate existing collaboration with the University of California at Berkeley and in Caltech in Pasadena, with whom we developed for several years in situ experiment and also numerical model of earthquake rupture.